In game week 24, I'm actually going to be selling a fully fit player that scored a 12-pointer last game week. I'll show you that controversial transfer later on in the video. I'll also be sharing my chip strategy. Building from the back, I'm starting Edison as usual. He's got a nice easy fixture against Forest away. I'll be honest, he's really let me down. He had 6 fixtures over the course of 4 game weeks and he only kept 1 clean sheet in that period of time. To be fair, 4 of those fixtures were Arsenal, Spurs twice and United, but I expect more from the best defence in the league. I'm going to keep him this game week because he has got a favourable fixture, but I do plan on shifting him on in the near future. If you're not planning on free hitting in blank game week 28, I think Pickford's a really good shout. He's only 4.4 mil. He doubles in blank double game week 25. I say blank double because there are blanks and doubles. In blank game week 28 he plays in that, which is the biggest blank of the season. He also plays in blank game week 32 as well. His number of fixtures combined with his price tag make him a safe option. There's a really low chance of him providing poor value for money in such a low scoring position. From my perspective, I am planning on free hitting in blank game week 28, but it does depend on the FA Cup fixtures. For now, looking at the probability, it looks like I'm going to have low numbers in my squad, especially when I plan on bringing in the players for the doubles. So based on that information, I'm actually planning on bringing Sanchez in from Brighton, but that's after blank game week 25, so I will probably keep Edison for when he plays Bournemouth as well. Now the reason for that is the number of fixtures. He's got a 4% chance of doubling in game week 26, he doubles in double game week 27, he's got a 98% chance of doubling in double game week 29, which is the highest of any team. He's got a 13% chance of doubling in game week 30 and a 31% chance of doubling in game week 31. To be fair, he's probably going to blank in game week 32, but then after that he's got a 6% chance of doubling in game week 33, a 97% chance of doubling in big game week 34, which is the highest of any team again, a 14% chance of doubling in game week 35, a 10% chance of doubling in game week 36, and a 93% chance of doubling in big game week 37. I know that's a lot of information to take in, but it just goes to show how many fixtures Brighton have got left after blank game week 25. I'm probably going to triple up myself. I do already have one player though. The first 2 players in defence are Akanji and Shaw. Akanji's got the easier fixture, but Shaw's got the higher expected minutes. I'm actually going to sell one of these 2 players this game week, and the other player next game week. I say that because Shaw blanks next game week, and Akanji's not nailed like I thought he would be. I've got a big decision to make and it's based on Akanji's minutes. City's clean sheet odds are roughly 50-50, whilst United's are roughly 1 in 3. So if both players were playing 90 minutes, I would go for Akanji, and that means he's got a higher upside, but obviously the last 2 matches he's come off the bench. Now I wouldn't mind starting Akanji if he played 0 minutes, because that means that Shaw comes in, but if he did get a cameo off the bench, that's a bit of a nightmare. The ideal scenario is that I start Akanji and he plays up to 90 minutes, even just the minimum of 60 and gets a clean sheet. It is pep roulette, so I'm not going to try and predict it. I do think it's worth starting Akanji just in case he gets those minimum 60 or 0 minutes, because Shaw's clean sheet odds are only 35%. So based on that information, I'm more than likely going to sell Shaw this game week after his 12-pointer last game week. I'm really excited to buy the player that I'm bringing in, and you'll see why later on in the video. The last defender in my starting 11 is Dunk against Fulham at home. The only defender that I feel sure about is the player that I will be bringing in. I'm actually benching Trippier against Liverpool at home this game week. Newcastle have got a 24% chance of obtaining a clean sheet according to FPL Review, and Trippier's got roughly a 39% chance of returning. This is a differential decision with a high upside. Of course there is a high risk as well because of his effective ownership, but that's not the reason I'm making the decision. It's actually because I slightly prefer the 3 defenders that I'll be starting. My last defender in my team is Patterson. He is still injured, but he's very close to a return. He's been playing in Everton's under 21s. Hopefully returns for blank game week 25. In midfield, it's a player in top form, Rashford against Leicester at home. He'll be staying in my team for the long term. He's only 7.3 million, and the points that he provides, it's like he's 13 million. Of course, United don't play in blank game week 25. He's got a slot on my bench. Trippier doesn't play and Dunk doesn't play. They'll be the other 2 players that I'll be keeping, so it looks like I'll have no insurance on the bench, but I think it will be worth it for those 3 players. Next up are the Arsenal midfield duo, Saka and Odegaard against Villa away. It's not the easiest of fixtures, but to be fair it's not the most difficult either, and I do fancy the Arsenal players to get something there. They play twice in double game week 25, and that's something I'm looking forward to. My final midfielder in my starting 11 is Bruno Fernandes. He faces Leicester at home. He's having one last dance before I shift him on to Salah next game week for his double. I have thought about making the transfer this game week, but there's no point because Salah faces Newcastle away, so I fancy Bruno this game week to outscore him. I'm happy with my midfield this game week, but if I was to bring in a midfielder, I would like Matoma at 5.3 mil. The only problem is that he blanks in blank game week 25, however he does double in game week 27, and he probably will double in game week 29 as well. If anything, it's extremely likely that I will bring him in for game week 26. Up front is Haaland against Forest away. I can see why some people are going to captain Rashford this game week, but I've had a look at the data in comparison with Haaland, and Haaland is still head and shoulders above him. Therefore, Haaland's going to be my captain this game week, and there's not going to be a best captain video. They're the methods that I use to pick my captains, which have been pretty successful. Obviously there's more than one way to skin a cat, and if you don't like relying on data, you prefer the eye test, and you prefer Rashford, go ahead and back him. Haaland does have slightly less expected minutes, but personally, I think he's got a higher ceiling with the two Forest centre-backs being injured. I think he'll start this fixture, and there's still a chance that he could play the full 90 minutes whilst they're going for the title. My penultimate forward and player is Nketiah. Hopefully get as many games out of him as possible before Jesus returns. A player that I'm thinking of replacing him with in the near future is Tony. That's after blank game week 25, then he's got a double in game week 27, and he's probably going to double in game week 29, there's a 79% chance. My last forward and last player in the team is Mitrovic against Brighton away. It's not ideal that he's only got a 75% chance of playing, but I'm going to take the risk because I can't see an ideal replacement this game week, and I really want to roll my second free transfer because that's vital at this point in the season with so many doubles and blanks. Now for the free transfer. The player that I'm probably going to replace Shaw with is Reece James. This is being recorded before Graham Potter's press conference, and I'm going to monitor his expected minutes right up until the deadline. Obviously James is an attacking defender with 3 channels to points, clean sheets, goals and assists. His minutes are a bit of a risk this game week because he's not long returned from injury, but they do face Southampton at home, of course there's a high upside there, then they play in blank game week 25, then they play Leeds at home, following that they face Leicester away. They also play in blank game week 28, then they've got a 60% chance of doubling in game week 29 as well. Now the beauty of Chelsea playing in blank game week 28 and probably having 2 fixtures in game week 29, it leaves me in a flexible position after the FA Cup results to play my chips. And by that I mean that I've not locked in on my free hit or wildcard yet. This transfer leaves enough money in the bank so I can shift Bruno onto Salah next game week, plus I've got an additional 1.4 mil in the bank and a second free transfer. If you want to see these videos every game week, make sure you hit that subscribe button.